Bro, how are you? How you been? Welcome back again.
Good. Been
Week
a little
5?
tiring. We had like a pretty hectic weekend, so nothing personal really, just I guess helping other people through their own stuff right now. I mean,
What
I
do you mean?
guess
Something happened?
I mean, it's not stuff that I really am particularly privy to talk about, but I guess, just the hardest part about helping people is being able to balance you know, being supportive, being critical, and ultimately not being the one to solve their problem. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of the thing that I've learned, especially in years, because I've always loved to help people. Don't get me wrong, right? But I think early on, and I guess this is kind of like my good boy nature coming out, right? I'd always feel compelled to be the person to solve their problems. That becomes an issue because it's like, okay, well, you can't. You could solve their problem, but will they be able to tackle it on their own in the future, right? And so
You'd hope.
you'd hope, right? But now it's like I've learned to be a lot more mature about it because again, taking on someone else's problems is difficult because you still have to take care of your own. Trying to be supportive for the people you care about, I think is something that, I just try to strive to do. But it's hard when like you want to be able to support them, but also again keep a delicate balance of being supportive while also like again not being that person to solve the problem for them.
I think if you end up trying to take someone else's problem, you kind of make it your problem too. So I don't like to help as much as I used to because everyone's got to figure it out on their own. Can't really help them too much. You try to support them. But I was thinking, have you ever talked to somebody that thought that they figured it out and like, okay, they were going to choose, if they're tossed between two options, option A and option B, right? And then
Uh-huh.
you obviously know it's option A, but for whatever reason in their brain, they just know option B is what they're going to do.
Of course.
You
Yeah.
just kind of let them do their thing like, okay.
My running gag with those type of like things is usually like, look, I could tell people how like what the right answer is, but ultimately, it depends on the person. Sometimes it's gonna fall on deaf ears, and I respect that because there have been times where I even knew the answer, but obviously option B what felt more tempting, and I really sincerely wanted option B to be the one.
That's what you were saying? Or no, you know that it's option B.
You know that it's option A, but then you end up choosing option B on a whim, on a hope, on a leap of faith that it's gonna be that.
I
And
got you. There you go. I was a little
yeah,
confused
so
there.
that's basically what it is. But yeah, dude, like there's been plenty of times where like I've had to learn the hard way. And learning the hard way is again choosing okay, we know that option A is the right way to go. You choose option B because you hope that that one, which also is a gamble, ends up being the better one and the choice that you ultimately want. But A is the harder choice, to make. And sometimes you just have to learn the hard way. If you fail, like again, when you make a choice and it doesn't succeed, you just gotta accept it for what it is. Like you have to learn either the easy way or the hard way. And that's I think a good example of like the hard way, if that makes sense. Sorry if that was a little jumbled. I feel like there's a lot of like,
No, it's
you
okay. We're
know,
warming up, bro. We just started. So anything could
But
happen,
yeah,
man.
man. Honestly, like I think it's not bad. It's just like, just wanting to be supportive of people while also trying to lead them the right way and still giving a little air on your side because look, I don't want to be a know-it-all. I don't preach that either. I do my best to give people the best advice possible, right? I do it to the best of my ability, thinking, hey, this is probably the best advice and I think the best course of action, but I can also be wrong. And I think
That's
that's just the one
true.
thing,
Who's to say? It's you could be
yeah,
over
and that's the thing. That's
presumptuous.
kind of the fun part about when you're giving advice or making decisions is that you're going to give it based off the information you have available. And
Yes.
so that's a lot of what I've been doing, the past weekend. Not like some counselor or vice versa. I'm not. I'm just basically a friend and a family member just trying to help, people that I care about. And it's no one specific, and if,
No one
yeah,
specific, my friend or a family member.
it's it's
Okay.
it's it's
We're
both basically.
caught your motherfucking ass there, bro. Nah, it's okay.
Yeah. How about you, dude? Like, how's your Sunday and Monday?
Well, Saturday we had that party, correct? Happy birthday! Shout out to you. I will say I was so excited because for those who don't know, it was a friend's birthday who we are actually going to be the groomsmen of next year, and I didn't really realize exactly not what type of event this is, but when you go to an event, you don't really know anybody. You're a little bit shy. You don't want to be social. It takes you a little bit to warm up to people. But when
Hmm.
I realized that, like, holy shit, the people here are going to be the people that we are definitely going to see again next year. So
Oh
you
yeah.
guys better play ball. And I was like, oh shit. It kind of really got exciting at the end. And yeah, I had fun. I had very much fun. How about you? Did you have fun?
I had fun too. I mean, again, we saw John. I mean, and we saw like a whole bunch of people that like just friends from college, and also
That was
yeah,
nice.
like it's nice being able to see like some familiar faces, which include also someone from like our previous podcast or our previous podcast,
The entirety
projects.
of the podcast was there, the old school podcast when we originally
Yeah,
have
the
four.
OG team. Well, actually,
Yes,
no, we're
yes,
missing one
yes.
person. One person was not there at he's
Oh,
currently in the West
yes,
Coast.
correct,
Yeah,
correct.
so
Wait, we had
and Jared,
five?
yeah, we had five
We had
back in the
five
day.
people at the podcast before? I thought it was
I had
four.
no idea how we managed to keep a good conversation going because I
It
feel like
wasn't good, bro. That's why I
it probably
stopped.
wasn't that great because of the fact that there's like five people trying to chime in at once, and it's like trying to be respectful and not worry that we're kind of talking over each other. You
I
know,
missed the opinions though.
also, at the same time, I can't say that either. I think we had like some great episodes and some of my favorite podcasts, which include like,
Do you remember anything that what we talked about?
well, there was one time we talked about Strava, which is like, well, not Strava, what's the Strava's the running app. Sorry. What's the Google,
Video game
cloud-based,
shit?
yeah, cloud-based gaming
I
platform?
forgot. I fucking forgot.
Hold on. Let me look
Strava.
this up quickly. It's not Strava. Strava's the running app, which is like I'm also a big fan of. Like, again, we think about social media, and Strava is the running app for running or biking, or if you're just into your health and taking care of yourself, but also want to show it to friends and compete. It's basically Facebook for people who work out.
All right.
Facebook
But
or
what is
Instagram,
this
whatever.
app that we are talking about? Not
Google
Strava.
Cloud Gaming.
It's like Stringer or some shit.
Hold on.
Striga.
Stadia.
Stadia. All right, what about
Stadia.
Stadia? We were thinking that it was going to take over the world, right? We thought Stadia was going to be like the next move. And I
At
always
some
had my
point, yeah.
doubts.
At
Always
some
had
point,
my
I thought
doubts.
it was going to take over the world, but then also I realized that again, the problem is, I
People's
guess,
internet sucks.
yeah. Well, no, to a certain extent, I think it depends on the game because if you go to like Asia, especially, I mean, or I can't really speak about, just Asia, but yeah, a lot of younger kids these days game on their phones. Like they play Call of Duty Mobile, PUBG Mobile. So I think it depends on the game and the service. Like if you're doing those type of games which are highly optimized for that purpose, that makes sense. But if Stadia has a bunch of like single player games that you know people aren't really downloading on the go, like for example, if you already have like your RPGs on you, there's not going to be a big likelihood that you're going to be out and about and be like, oh, let me go download like Elden Ring right
There's like a
now.
tiny niche of that's what you're saying.
That's a tiny niche of people who are going to do that on the go, and more likely than anything, you're either going to be surfing the web or like doing something else on the go, or you're going to at least have done that before you went on the road because you want to be already punched in the game on that journey. So that's
Regardless,
why,
even if you want to do that, playing games on
yeah,
Stadia makes you play the game from another thing. So regardless, even if your fucking internet is the best of the best, you're always still going to have that little minute difference. And if you're a gamer, you know for a fact that when you press that button, you want that action to come out at a certain time. When you're gonna play games in Stadia, no matter even if your fucking internet's good, it's not gonna be as if you're actually playing with the machine. That's what I'm saying.
exactly.
There
So
you go.
that was something that we talked about back then, and it's crazy because that came out in like 2019, like 2019. Yeah, like that was probably the last time we had like the podcast before we embarked on this current one. And yeah, I guess it's crazy to think about what life was like where we were at that point and where we're at now.
I'll tell you now. when we were thinking about starting this new podcast, and whenever you're thinking of redoing a venture that you did in the past with your friends, you would think that the second time going, you have things set up in order for it to be better, the process be better. I especially have spent an extensive amount of time to try to make that process better. But I will tell you, man, when effort is required for anything, even if there are things that, make it easier for you, it's still fucking hard, man. Effort is always effort, no matter what.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot, bro.
Oh
But
yeah.
no complaints. It's like, it's all good. I wish I was just asking a friend
Hmm.
recently, if you could have a superpower, any superpower, right? What would it be? And for me, I would have chosen that I would never get tired and I didn't need to go to sleep. So then I could just keep on pumping out the shit that I wanted to do. You know what I mean? But how about a power for you?
Teleportation, man.
Teleportation. That's what she said too. She told me teleportation as well. And I was like, that is kind of nice, right?
Because like there are things that I don't need to keep. Like, look, the meanwhile is always like fun, like working hard, and I enjoy working hard for things. But sometimes having to go from point A to point B is like ridiculous. And so, for example, like a place that I would again, and I've told you about how much I want us and a bunch of friends to be there is the Philippines.
Oh,
'Cause I
okay,
go
okay. You're like for vacation, obviously.
yeah,
That's an
so
easy
for
one.
vacation, but also it's like imagine the time you save having to not deal with the meanwhile. And so it's like, okay, boom, snap of the fingers, and then I end up at said location. And it's like, oh, I can take a bunch of people with me. And yeah, like literally rather than having to wake up an hour, 2 hours before going to work, you can just zip right there. So think about the time that you get back. And I feel like it's kind of similar to what you're doing, where you kind of want to get the time or have more time
Yes.
because
It equates to the
ultimately
same thing.
it's a very similar
Yeah.
concept, in terms of saving time because you're basically without getting tired because you need to put time away for sleeping. Now you just simply put away that time, or you just gain back the time, period. And
Hmm.
like I said, also, I don't really feel the need to I'll need to know certain details in the day. Like at some point, I think I just rather zone out, but I guess I could just smoke weed too.
It used to be fun, being on the train when you're young and then
Oh,
you see
dude,
the hotties, you know what I'm saying? But now I don't give a fuck, dude.
you still see pretty girls on the train. Like, I mean, I do take the Long Island Railroad. I don't really take the subway
Bro,
anymore. So, but
they're everywhere.
I will say this, like, because I usually take the Long Island Railroad to work rather than like the bus and the train. Because I live in Bayside, so Bayside it takes about like, if I'm being realistic, from where I'm at in Queens all the way to like Times Square, it takes about an hour and 15 minutes. Just
That shit sucks, dude. I was doing that too. An hour 15, hour 30. When it gets turned up, an hour 45, maybe 2 hours if the train is fucking crazy, right? It just
dude.
kills you, bro.
Well, also, so, and you know this because you went to, well, you didn't go to City College like as a student, but you came to hang out with me and a bunch of people who went to City College. But that was like a minimum, like, at least for me, an hour 45, 2 hours.
That's
So
how
it's like,
badly I wanted it, bro. I
you
didn't give
knew
a
you knew
fuck back
the
then.
struggle of what it meant to go from like location to location. But I mean, I think also at the time, we're there for, well, I was there for school, but we also had a really like fun community of people and friends that we could hang out with.
It was my
So
life at the time. So an hour and 45 minutes. At that time, I was sleeping so late and I was just doing whatever the fuck that I wanted to do. When you're younger, you have all the energy to do that. So I had no problem. And I would just sleep on the train anyway. I had never got mugged, thank God, thank God. I've heard
thank
of
the
stories
Lord.
of other people getting mugged while they sleep, but they never fucked with me while I was knocked out on the train, especially going to Harlem. No disrespect. I'm just saying, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
Could we do that now? Could you imagine us doing that now? I mean, and I know like we're talking again, like we're obviously not as young as we were back in college, but would you be able to do that now? I mean, I think putting
Well,
the age bit aside,
when you say do that now, you have to set so many stipulations. You have to
mhm.
say, okay, what are you doing this for? When you say do this now, you mean travel an hour and 45. Okay, but okay, would I travel an hour 45? No. But if you were to put the stipulation of the same one back in the day, I would make the trip for an hour 45 to meet girls, to have a good time. Would I
Right.
still do that today? Fuck yeah. But not as much as I used to. Come on, man. We used to do sometimes 5 days a week. We couldn't get enough. I mean, you guys had to do it 5 days a week because you were going to school there. Me, I didn't have to fucking go there. I went there on my own volition. So, would I still do that now? Probably only on Thursdays. Remember, we used to always eat out,
Oh,
ayo,
dude, that
on
is something that
Thursday.
I do miss. It's like the Thursday night dinners. Because again, at some point, 5 days became four because we got smart and knew how to compress our classes into Monday to Thursday, right? So it started off kind of like with John and I doing like Friday lunches, and then eventually like Friday dinners. But then we no longer had
No one was
classes on
really there.
Fridays.
No one was
Yeah,
really
the
there on
thing, no
Friday.
one's there on Fridays. So then we decided to bump it to Thursday because then
And
everyone was
everyone
there.
was there on Thursday.
And oh my God, like remember we used to do like Dallas barbecue and like we were going out to different places like half off sushi and
I don't
like
ever
we
want to
would
do that again. Like I would do it. Hold on,
would
let me
do it again.
rephrase that. I would do it again, but I would not want to relive those times. Those times are in the past. When you bring up things like Dallas barbecue, I just want to throw up in my brain. I just don't even want to even see myself going there. That was a different era. I want to do that again now, maybe with a
But
smaller group, maybe more, nicer places, right?
well, you want it's like kind of reimagined, right? Or like
Yes.
a yeah, I think about it this way because, you know, not that I want to relive the past, but there are things about those times that I really enjoy. Like, for example, like I haven't done this in a hot minute. I mean, also partially because the pandemic put a damper on it. But like for my birthday, aside from me getting plastered drunk, oh God, my tita and my mom might hear that. Whatever. Anyway, the cat's out of the bag. But I used to do this thing where I'd have you guys come over and I'd have like lunch or lunch quasi dinner and then we'd go out. So that's
I
something
miss those.
I know, and that's something that I miss too. But again, obviously the pandemic and a couple other like factors came in. So
Don't get
I
me
want to
wrong.
do that. Yeah.
I love the after party thing that we would do out, but I really miss the more closer, intimate times,
And so
you
that's
know?
the thing. It's like I want to bring that back. And also because, you guys are part of that, but I also, we have made more friends along the way and we've also gotten closer with, you know, more people. So I want to be able to incorporate that in there. It's like kind of taking pieces of the old and new and just making like a new version of it. And I think, when I think about a lot of the things we've been doing, which include podcasts, is kind of on that same vein where we're, you know, doing things that aren't quite different from what we've done before, but we are embarking on a new journey with new people. And again, approaching it with the same mindset, but also knowing little bit better, if you get what I mean.
With a 2024 mindset, not the same mindset, it's a new mindset.
Exactly. And I feel like I'm
Yes,
also a bit of a different person compared to us. I mean,
absolutely.
I'm still gonna be that same guy that I first met at like, our friends like debut, especially because you're part of like,
I hope you're a
like,
different guy. I know, I
yeah.
understand your sentiment that in deep down inside, you're still that wholesome, friendly, loving, good friend that you are. But I hope that you are evolved. I hope
Oh
that
my
you
God.
are
Well, at the same time, like, again, we've been through so much. Again,
absolutely.
we've embarked on some great stuff together. Again, the most recent was Cartagena, and so it's like,
We have to let
we
Cartagena die. Cartagena is dead now. It's on to new and better things. Let's
we
go.
were looking on to the next trip or the
Yeah.
next like thing. No, it's just funny because like yeah, I feel like this kind of reminds me of the question that you asked. Like, if we had the opportunity to relive high school, knowing all that we know now, would we do it?
Bro, I would get so much pussy, it would not even be a joke. Yo,
I would
I don't
be
even want to
a
say
far
that, but yeah.
I would be a far more confident person if I could like relive like, my high school days, just because I would shoot the shot more and just like every hesitation be like, dude, just, you never know. And you'll never know because you never did. But now it's time to redo that.
For as much as I would want to relive it, knowing now, for
Mm-hmm.
me, high school was a very, I loved high school. And it was
Mm.
the part of my life where I was finding so much of who I am now. like a big piece of, like in relationships, it kind of forges you to be the person that you are. And
Right.
like little pieces of you change. But in high school,
Hmm.
so much happened where it probably formulated 75% of what you see today. The charisma, the confidence was really being built in high school. I remember when I was a
Mm.
freshman and sophomore, I still felt like that, small Asian boy. And now, I mean, not now, but towards the second half of high school, I was like a totally different person. Within those like
Mm.
2 years, I evolved so much. I really want to say that those times are very fond to me. I was finding myself
I feel like I late bloomed in high school. Like I feel like I was only kind of coming into myself like
in college.
junior, senior year, but more importantly, college. I feel like college was such a huge formative time that like I mean I still have no like don't take it as me like not saying anything good about high school. Like high school was great, but also like
No, everyone just has different timings.
well, different timing. Yeah, I think that's the case in point. I mean, also like my parents divorced like halfway through high school, so it's like I had like a completely different era of like life then and post divorce.
Damn,
So I
can I
feel
ask
like
you a personal question?
what's up?
Did that fuck you up? Like around that time, did that really shake your foundation? I don't know. You say that you're the one that brought it up. So it was a staple point in your life. It may have affected you somehow, correct?
Yeah, because I mean everything changed post sophomore year, but I mean I guess it's kind of weird where like I'm gonna take something from Inside Out, right? Where like that was tinged with a sad point in time for me, but also a very happy point in time because I started really anchoring like some really great friendships and also kind of coming to my own identity. I also was outside of like kind of this safe space where like because I grew up in Bayside for so many years, right?
Hmm.
And so when I grew up in Bayside, I was only hanging out near St. Francis Prep, near like Francis Lewis, and so once I was kind of making these leaps towards Malloy, and then eventually like hanging out with some like mutual friends that now I was doing other things. So it's weird because sure that coincided with like a very like rough time in my life, but I also can say like I was meeting the best people that are part of my life now, who would also introduce me to more people who are part of my life now too. And so it's kind of weird to sum it all up. I guess to answer it like pretty straightforward is yeah, it was a sucky time, at least for the first half of it. Just because I already knew it was kind of going in that direction. But then once the band-aid was ripped off and I guess healing could kind of really set itself together, I was able to really make the friends that I needed, and do the things. Like I think also I was starting to break out of my shell
So much
and
was going on at that time, not just
so much is
exactly
going on.
that.
My
Yeah.
God, it's like it's so hard to kind of quantify it because that like literally coincides with like puberty and adolescence, into adulthood. So it's like kind of hard for me to completely like say all the things that are going on. But I think it's because also a lot of life is happening at the same time that life happens fast for someone who's growing up. So if that makes sense, I don't even know if I phrased that properly, but
No, you did good. You did
but
good, bro.
yeah,
Don't worry about
like
it.
yeah, dude, I'm so grateful for the people and friends that I had at the time because I could really at least open up and I guess accept certain things. And if I were to go back to myself prior to that time, because I think that kid, was very vulnerable and held some responsibility. Whenever things kind of go south, especially with parents when you're younger, kids tend to blame themselves. I certainly did, and does make sense.
Damn.
But you just feel like you can't help but feel that even though you weren't the ones like fighting, you're still there, and so you can't help but feel helpless and not have anything to do. So I just tell myself, dude, it's not your fault, and honestly, like things are gonna be far better when it's over. And it's
And they
gonna
have
sound
panned out
crazy.
better.
Oh yeah, and I'm grateful like, you know, when it came to the that relationship, like I think both sides were far healthier when it was over. And, I also think my relationship with both of them got exponentially better. Like it's crazy. Like I've gone through my ups and downs, and I could really tell you now that like I've really gotten to know both my parents and really bond with them and try to get to understand their perspectives and see like where I get, their best traits, and also some of the traits that are kind of crazy too, like, but I'm grateful for that, but yeah, dude, that was like a crazy time. And
I'm
yeah.
sure that time like matures you because if you think about it, you kind of get exposed to not problems in relationships, but things that can come up in relationships, and having to see that directly with your own parents, you know, it's almost like like it's almost like you're forced to become a little bit more mature there. You're forced to grow up faster there in terms of relationships.
You kind of see how things go, and you also want to work harder for certain things to, I guess, work out. I mean, it's a give and take, if that makes sense. Like I do feel like I had to grow up faster. I do feel like it kind of made me more mindful about how I am in like my relationships.
Mm,
Um, and to a certain extent, I think it also comes with tinges of it, where I feel like you sometimes want to try too hard because I think especially when you're like post divorce, right? The one thing you kind of tell yourself is like, oh, like I'll never do that to my kid. Like I would never try to do that, or let that happen. But also, when it comes to relationships in life, like not everything's going to work out. You could work your very hardest, and kind of taking a quote from one of my friends here, that square block is not going to fit into a circle hole. So it's, you know, you also learn that relationships can and will fail. You do come with the wisdom of knowing what to avoid, but also you all do know that certain things can fail and it's not the end too, if that makes sense.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Sorry, I got super heavy there.
No, I like that. I like that I like that it can get heavy. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy. I feel like I never really talk about that part of my life, and
To be honest, when you brought it up, I was a little surprised a moment ago. I was like, oh shit. I never, I'm sure it got brought up within our vast friendship, maybe dibble dabbles, but to actually try to directly attack it almost
oh
is
yeah.
is is kind of nice to see coming from you.
Well, it's not that I've ever, I guess, been afraid to talk about my own experiences. I think I actually like more than anything, I am really happy to talk about what I've been through. Not even be
I
boastful,
love
but
that.
it's like there's a certain part of myself that's willing to share that because at least growing up, and I've felt that if I withheld information, like this is a poor analogy, right? Like a recipe for cookies, right? And
I think
that's
that's
a
a great analogy.
I love cookies, but if I had this recipe that were great, but I took it with me to my grave, that does absolutely nothing for anybody. Like it will die with me, and people will just be like, know about the legend, but it doesn't do anything for anybody. So for me, I feel like talking about my own experiences, because we're all going through our own paths. Never is anything like apples to apples comparison. And so from my perspective, I could talk about what I've been through, and maybe I'll give you context on how to deal with yours. And maybe me also talking about it is helpful for me to be able to further unpack it and maybe
Absolutely.
like understand it better too. So, yeah, again, never have been like ashamed to talk about that experience, but it never does really come up. I also tend to be someone who doesn't bring up certain things, I guess, out of the blue.
Oh, of course,
But
of course.
like I said, I've always been like happy to be candid about those certain things, especially if asked about it. And again, also not being that person to be like, that was a very critical time in my life, and it again was tinged with both like happiness and sadness. But I wear that kind of like a badge where it's like, it's something that I went through, and I feel like that's something that made me grow. And it's not something that I'm going to be like parading around for everyone to see, but I could
Absolutely.
easily speak about it and say like, hey, this helped me grow in ways, and this is part of me, right?
Are you excited to be a father? Because I can't wait to have children for exactly what you just said there. Like I
I'm
have
excited to be.
so much. I have
Well,
so
first I
much
have to
that I
meet the
could
right
give them.
girl, but I am excited to be a father. I think if my brother's ever listening to this, number one, I'm never gonna catch up because you have
Who
six
knows,
kids.
motherfucker? You may
Oh my
blast
god.
off. You may blast off on your girl. Bob Panthers 8. Come on. Who says that you
But
can't do that?
I would love to be a father, dude. Mainly just because, like, I, I mean, ultimately, I want to be able to share some of my favorite things with both. Like, yeah, I think so. I don't know how many kids you want, but I want to have at least two. I think one boy and one girl, right? But I want to
Ideally,
be able,
ideally.
yeah, ideally, and I want to be able to share, like, again, this, like, some of my passions and love for games or like tennis or culture with them and music especially. Like, god, I can't wait to be able to, like, again, back then people had CDs, and my version of that now are not mixtapes but my Spotify playlists. So I kind of wonder how it's going to be. uh
They're gonna hate your
Again,
fucking music, dude. They hate that
I
shit.
hope not, but then again, like, I hear like my niece and nephew like bump into, like, 2005, like, Ludacris and like
Classics for a
Neo.
reason,
Yeah,
okay?
so yeah, like they're bumping to all this stuff, and so yeah, like I want to be able to share that with my kids someday, and there are things I know that I would love for them to have. Again, just experience wise, and also because I do want both my mom and my dad to be able to meet and just spend time with, like, my like their grandkids, because I had a really great opportunity to spend it with both, like, not with my dad's side because my grandfather and had passed away already by the time I had been born, and my grandmother on that side, I think, was much older, where I didn't really have an opportunity to kind of grow up with her. But my grandmother and my grandfather on my mom's side did have a heavy hand in raising me. Like, I spent a lot of years with them, and so I want to be
Oh,
able.
that's a
I
thing that
want them
I
to have, maybe not the same thing, but I want to be able. I want them to be able to have an opportunity to really bond with, like, my parents the way that I was able to bond with theirs. You know.
you mentioned growing up with your grandparents and them having a big deal and a big deal in raising you. How do I say that? A
Mhm.
big influence in raising you, right?
Yeah.
For me, I don't know anything about that. Yes, I had grandparents, but
Hmm.
they lived in the Philippines. They were kind of all over. And even with me and my cousins, all of my cousins were either in Florida, Cali, or Toronto. So whatever family was what was going to be in our house. My mom and my dad and my brother and my sister. So
Hmm.
um it always makes me envious, like when John has such a big family. I'm sure you have a fucking big family here too. That's really
Hmm.
not that far.
Right.
With they're within reach. For me, I always felt like my family was alone. And I'm not really sure how that affected me, what not, but
Hmm.
I do want to say that I'm always envious when I see like Christmas pictures and their families are big, and sometimes it would make me feel kind of sad to get invited to their family Christmas event because their family is so fucking big and mine is so
Right.
small. I mean,
Hmm.
you're lucky enough to be invited, but still, I kind of like, you know, almost puts a kind of chip on your shoulder. Not really, but for sure that experience is different than your experience growing up with a much larger family.
I think it depends on the family. Well, yes. I mean, because again, I mean, I do fly, like, I've flown back often to the Philippines to spend time with my cousins there, right? But also, I mean, to be fair, I feel like a lot of my cousins are there, and there's like really only a handful here, and then some of them are kind of older and have like their own significant others. So it's like kind of a little hard for me to be able to, like,
It's different now that we're
have,
older
like,
too.
yeah, like get-togethers and everything. Like, the dynamics kind of shifted. So sometimes I've actually kind of felt like it's just my mom and I here
Hmm.
alone.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that in itself can also feel like, I kind of envy other people too, because again, if it's just us two here, you know, it can be kind of lonely.
Like
And
John's
so
family is so big.
oh yeah, like, they're very big, but also, again, I think sometimes, depending on the family, there can be drama in, like,
Of
these special
course.
events too. So it's like, it's there's a weird like balance of like wanting so many people in your life and also being like, you know what, maybe I don't need this much like drama either.
That's true
um
because like you wouldn't think that family members could be so petty, but when you hear the drama that my friends have families have gone through, it's almost like baffling. Like how could that even happen? That would never happen to me. But then I don't kind of know because I've never had family around me so close, you know?
well, also, I mean, not to kind of get all cheesy with you, right? But I mean, you Jeff and like a bunch of the guys here are easy part of my family too. So it's like
Yes, there's enough drama there. There's enough drama coming from there with just that.
yeah, and also I think it's funny that we were talking about like, you know, Christmas and celebrations like that. But you know, I do spend a lot of time going back home to spend it with my cousins. But also I think aside from wanting to save a little bit more money, but also I kind of wanted to spend Christmas here because I actually want to be with you guys. Like
You
sometimes I
haven't
just
had a
hear
Christmas here
I
with us in
know,
a
and that's
long
the other
time.
thing. That's why also in my head, like I again we've been on the topic of like embarking on I guess the word would be familiar journeys, but yeah, I would like to kind of have like a get together here for like Christmas where
I want to do something
friends
for
come for yeah,
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, like I just want to be able to spend it with like friends and whoever's able to come by, cool. Like we watch movies and like just have like a bunch of food and drinks. Like I think that's kind of like as I reach more peak adulthood, there are new things that I want to be able to do for myself and for the people I care about, and just different stuff like to kind of change up, you know, the routine. And that's what I'm excited for, man. Like just being able to do these things with you guys, right?
It's gonna be
Um,
fun. The last part of the year, I think with everything that we have realized and gone through, this holiday season is gonna be pretty fun. And I'm very, very excited.
oh, I know, but at the same time, like time like we talk about this all the time too that like time is moving fast like again you know we it wasn't too long ago that we brought up again like trips and podcasts and now we're like in September and like before you know it we're going to be in episode 8 and just be like hey you know remember we're talking about
This is
episode 2.
5. It's weird. We haven't dropped the ball ever outside of Colombia,
Knock on wood.
the weekend of Colombia, right? No,
Yeah.
we did we record the Tuesday of Colombia before right before?
No, I don't
I don't think
remember.
so. I don't know, but but we never like there were moments in which we were gonna skip, and we still
And we
had it.
forged forward, you
Why are
know.
we talking about this? Why did we end up talking about this? There's a lot of things that you want to do, right?
A lot of things we want to do, and I think we're just no. So then
Oh,
I
by the
loop
end of the
backward
year.
by the end of the year, but like we're already in September, and so like we're oh my god, where's time going by? Like the weeks go by so fast. But this past year has been like good in the way that like I've really looked forward to how like things to come, and yeah, just with that something on the weekend, and eventually like oh boom, now we're into like the following weekend here we're at the podcast. So
It's
yeah.
crazy that you mentioned that time is moving faster because it definitely feels like time is moving faster. But
Hmm.
the difference this time around in this season for me is that, yes, I realize this, but I'm actually going to do something about it. Yes, time is going faster, but I am more alert to it. I will pay attention more. I will actively hold the wheel more in driving this vehicle that is life. Because I know this, I have changed my behavior, or I feel that I have changed my behavior. I'm hoping that I can remain committed to my updated and changed behavior. That is really what I want to say. You know, I haven't been going to the bar as much. I have kind of augmented the way that I'm working out a little bit. I kind of took some hours off.
Hmm.
Don't get me wrong. I cannot say things for the podcast because I have dropped the ball. I know when I fuck up and I really have should been posting like crazy, but that
Oh no,
is
dude.
hopefully a result that will come from my updated behavior. I've been sleeping better. I've been trying to hydrate more. I know that I know that I have my devices, but really these are devices that I use only for podcast and on vacation, as I like to say. But yeah, as we approach the end of the year, I've already feel like I'm a different. I feel like this year is my year. Not, not to brag or anything like about that, but like it's the promise that you have to yourself. There are many years that you kind of live through and you kind of pass and you kind of make no significant changes and you just kind of let
Mhm.
the tides go. But this year is not one of those years. This year is going to be big changes.
So this year's been ultimately very rewarding, and being able to like do things and do more things in general, and just actually have the courage to do so. I think has been awesome. Having the courage to try new things and yeah, just get with it. I mean, hey, look, I'm still keeping up with Duolingo.
I'm still keeping
Like,
up with Duolingo, yes. And I also I recently just started using creatine. And
so
creatine is fucking crazy.
so
I don't know what is it about.
so hold on. So for the again, so I'm relatively new on my workout journey, at least in the sense of like taking supplements, right? So what exactly does creatine do, and how does it work with you?
I have no idea exactly. But if I was to answer your question right now, it is 100% the most studied drug there is. The most studied drug. So from then, it is deemed the most safe drug that you can use, that it is a safe drug that you can use. From my
Huh.
understanding, it helps in recovery. It helps in I don't fucking know, dude. I really don't know. But they say they say that you won't really feel the effects of creatine until later because they have a thing called not carb loading. They have a thing called creatine loading phase where you take a lot of creatine during the first couple of days and then you get on this maintenance level. I have only been taking maintenance level, but for whatever reason, I have felt some type of effects on day one. I
It's like
don't want to
pre-workout?
say, I don't want to consider it pre workout because it's not called pre workout. It's called creatine.
Ah.
I will say though, I am not stupid. I have a feeling that some of the effects that I gotten on day one after taking it 30 minutes before workout have you, that some of it is a placebo effect. I am not stupid. So I tested it again day two with you. We went to the gym together. Tell me not, I was a fucking beast
Oh, dude, you're
that
zeroed
Friday.
in.
I
You're
was
like,
fucking in. So that's not me regularly. That's creatine talking. I
I
didn't
don't
use
know. I mean, I feel
creatine
like,
on the
well,
weekend,
I
but
did
I used
notice
it
you were a
today.
touch more motivated that time than compared
It
to
could
other
be a
times.
lot
But
of
I feel
things.
like, but I also feel like you're generally like a great person to work out with because you're pretty attentive and you're also willing to push it. But I will say that I felt like you were probably a little bit more, you know, energetic, if you would, right?
Than
But I was
usual,
like,
right?
like taking a cup of coffee or like, like a vape hit pretty much, right?
I can tell you that it's more than that. Yes, there was a lot of things going on in my life right now. Like we said previously in the podcast, it just can't be one thing. It's a lot of things happening at the same time. Coming back from Colombia, getting refocused. I told you I was going to be a laser, but that creatine just allows me to stay laser focused
It
and not even just
focuses
during
the
the weekend.
laser.
I mean, not even just during the workout. When I get
Yeah.
home, I'm fucking holy shit, dude. I'm killing it. I don't know what the fuck.
It almost sounds like Adderall.
Maybe I was I was initially intending to use creatine not for the physical benefits. I was
Uh-huh.
only wanting to take it because it is the most studied drug in the world and they said that there is some type of correlation which helps you mentally, it helps with your mental cognition and it reduces brain fog. I didn't give a shit about the actual workout. It did say that it lowers, it increases recovery time. I like that. That's nice. That's
Mhm.
nice. But I wasn't going to use it with the intention of actually like pushing hard in the gym, dude. I took it today. I was lifting heavy. That's all I want to say about that.
Ooh.
How about
Huh.
you? When are we going to the gym again, you fuck?
Uh, Sunday latest for sure.
No
Just because
Friday?
no Friday I have something to do. Yeah.
You have a date? What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh
I'm
shit,
going
is
out
that
with
rude?
someone.
Is that
You
rude?
mad rude?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's
Don't
okay. It's
worry.
okay. It's
My
okay.
lazy ass, this episode is going to be released like 3 weeks from now. Like, don't even worry. Nah, this shit's going to be
Yeah.
out tomorrow.
Yeah. But I'm thinking about going to the gym tomorrow though, which would be
Did you pick out what you're
cool.
gonna wear? Did you pick out what you're gonna wear for Friday? Not
For
that I want to stay
Friday?
on that topic, but Friday you have something to do. Did you pick out what you're gonna wear?
Yeah, I have like a button down and like, so I'm probably just gonna wear that. I mean, it's just like grabbing dinner.
Cologne? You have cologne?
Yeah.
Don cologne, please. Jewelry? You got the
Just
ring
this.
on. Oh,
It is kind of cool though. I feel like whenever like I type with the ring now, I'm just like, ooh,
it's a
what
part of
is
you
that?
now.
It's a part of me. I mean, I'm still unsure if
Bro, are you gonna get a haircut or no?
I don't know. I mean, I don't look too bad. Let me see. Just looking at my hair right now. Wait, let me take off the headphones for a quick second. I think I look good. I feel now I'm conscious and I gotta get a haircut.
Do whatever the fuck you think is the right choice, Don. Come on, son. All right, all right. So what are you doing on Saturday? You're actually working on Saturday?
Saturday.
That's the morning
Saturday,
of.
well, Saturday morning I think would work
Leaving
out,
it
but I
open.
do have like, well, if you want to come through, like friend stuff, friend birthday, if you want to come through. I think
Oh no, no, no.
once.
It's your thing. It's your thing, bro. It's not my thing.
Oh, dude. Well, I mean, this can edit out of the cast itself, but you are more than invited to come through to any of these things.
Do you, baby? Do you?
But yeah, man.
I'm gonna keep out that thing that you said. I'm gonna keep it in. That thing that you said about Friday. That's
Cool.
not getting edited out. The other
It's
thing is
fine.
gonna get edited out. It might even be a highlight. Get ready, dude. Ooh, nah, spicy,
No,
spicy.
dude, it's fine. No, honestly, at this point, like, I'm so candid about certain things. Like, again, I feel like post
Ooh,
leaving my last job and into again, just I'm in the first year of my new job. I feel like I kind of like not really turtled up, but I think I just spent a lot more time learning and working at the new job and making sure I was good at it, but also it being different than what I used to do. So I'm not really posting stuff on social media and vice versa. So this is kind of a great opportunity for me to just kind of like show people, hey, aside from my work,
I exist.
I am doing things, and this is what I'm up to. And if you want to hear what I'm about, because I don't really post up stuff outside of my stories, this is where I'm at. So
And if you don't want to hear us, fuck you. But hey, dude, I was just gonna say, do
Mm.
you think that you are now a little bit more open because of this platform, because of this thing that we're doing?
I want to say that I think we're more open because of this platform, for sure. Well, not that we're talking about things that are different from our normal day to day lives, but I also like because we don't hang out with people as often as we used to. This is kind of like our opportunity for us to be part of theirs and vice versa, even though we're not really talking to like some of our friends and peers, but it's an opportunity for us to kind of put ourselves out there. So absolutely. And then to a certain extent, I'm also like talking to you about things that we would talk about, but also giving ourselves the opportunity to talk about things that we've never maybe talked about before. Like, again, just high school life and, kind of my own experiences going through divorce. So for
Has it been
sure.
scary to share?
A little bit more than anything, my attitude's been like, all right, like, look, we're gonna take the dive. It's like jumping off the boat and when we finally stopped and it's like, all right, we're gonna jump into the water. And it's like, yeah, I'm gonna jump into the water. I have no idea how deep it is, but I'll jump in. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to wade in the water because I learned how to swim. And
There's
kind
a
of
lot
same
more
thing
other
here.
scarier things in this world than what we're doing, bro.
Yeah, and I think the scariest thing for me would be to simply just spend every day retreating here and just being alone with my thoughts, I think would make me go insane. Like I enjoy the recharge time, but like I also don't want to do that all the time too. Like I need those moments, but I also like to be around people. It's kind of scary, but also I think being alone by myself, I think is a scarier idea.
No, I get you. Being alone in your thoughts and having to just ruminate with that sometimes could change you.
Dude, like
Absolutely
if
understood.
if you spend too long, like I like you bring up the word ruminate because like if you just kind of let it kind of mull over and cycle through it like too long, like you start creating your own like narrative and history of things that it's just like it'll eat at you. As someone who has firsthand experience about brooding, because I tend to be critical of my own like uh failure, well, successes and failures, and definitely my failures I'm very critical of. But when you tend to brood about it too long, you know, you end up focusing on the wrong details. So for me it's about like, okay, like take time to reflect. I reflect a lot, but I also think to myself, don't spend too long on it, because at the end of the day, you just gotta get going. Like, you know, rocking or worry. Oh, worrying is like a rocking chair, basically. Like, you know, it gives you something to do, but it's not getting you anywhere. So just get going, going with it, and stop thinking too much about it. You know.
It's totally fine to feel like shit for a little bit, but you have to just like be aware that, you have to move now. And
Oh yeah.
try not to stay there for long at all. Like it really serves no purpose. What do you think is the best attribute to have as a
Give me an
human?
example of an attribute, just because I'm trying to figure out what an attribute is. Because like,
Um, let me not tell you, and then let me hear what you have to say, and then from there we can kind of figure this out. Because I have one in
uh,
my mind, but I don't want to share it just yet.
I feel like something that I wish people had more often, or rather, are brave enough to do it more rather than to say it, rather, right? Is to have empathy. And that's hard because we see on like a lot of the web today, you know, like to show, like, you know, to have empathy, right? And all that stuff. But I think demonstrating it is a lot more difficult, especially in a world like ours where it's so polarized. Because people are always going through things, and you know, the first thing that people like to do is just react to it, right? I think if we're trying to be better as humans, especially because we come all from like very different walks of life, and it's very easy to lot people with, you know, another, right? We could just say like, oh, you know, the actions of these represent the entire group, and that's not how it is with life. I at least try to put myself in their shoes. You know, obviously, it's hard to be able to, like, we're not all gonna have the same experiences, right? But I believe that like if we could put ourselves more in people's shoes and try to understand where they're coming from, then maybe we wouldn't be so like, I don't know, at each other's throats. Like case in point, I'm sure after the most recent presidential debate, are literally left and right going to be basically hollering and mudslinging at each other. When in reality, you know, there is some validity towards each side, you know, and that's probably one of the most controversial things that I could say, because I know one side believes the other is completely evil. Yeah, empathy. I believe empathy is like one of the best attributes a person should have. And
Okay.
that trickles out to a lot of other things too, you know, like having compassion and all that, you know, so.
You could
But what
honestly
about
said
you?
any attribute and they would have been the perfect answer and an
I think
important
also
answer.
having a good smile would be cool too, but, you know.
Okay, that's like a physical attribute, which you wouldn't have been wrong. Like if you were hot, right? You wouldn't have been wrong. For me, I think one of the more important attributes to have as a human being is to be self-aware. I know you touched upon it a little bit
That's a
just
yeah, that
ago,
basically is a good example of it too, right?
where you can feel sad. It's totally fine to feel sad and upset at yourself. But, there is a time that you need to be, aware of yourself enough to go, okay, I spent enough time and it's time for me to move forward. It's time to make some decisions and some actions to get myself out of here. Surprisingly, awareness, not even just self awareness, is almost an attribute that not a lot of people have. And being attentive to details is an attribute that is actually more rare than not. You know what I mean?
I really like your choice because I felt mine was like
Yours was a good one. Empathy is a big fucking deal.
it's a big one, but I also feel like it's weird that it's so like obvious, and you would think it's like common, but it's also very uncommon, ironically. Like people preach it, but I think less people exercise it. So self-awareness is actually, I think, a very big factor that plays into that. And I like that you bring up like self-awareness actually. Like I think that's really good.
It's hard for me to describe because you can kind of see and point out self-awareness in so many different things, and like, okay, when you see your friend do something, or um not always just you, but like you are aware of situations and okay, there's so many different ways to do something. Okay, there's so many ways to ask for something, right? Just in tonality and choice of words and just being aware that those little details do matter as well. I don't know. There's just so much that you can unpack to make it easy to digest. It's almost like it's okay to suck. It's okay to not feel good about yourself. It's okay to be trash. Sometimes you will feel down, but you have to be self-aware enough to know that you have to do something to get yourself out of there.
Yeah, like that's a weird catharsis to have, and not many people do. But being able to accept those things about yourself and understand and know what you're capable of and what your limitations are, I think will allow you to also operate better and allow you to actually start moving towards what you want to do. Yeah, like self awareness is very important because, especially when it comes to dealing with other people, the first person you have to deal with is yourself. And you have to understand how you work before then you can start working and doing other things with other people. So,
I like that.
yeah, it's funny. I always feel like I sound so cheesy saying these things, right? But also,
No,
but I will say it out loud too. Like being able to love yourself is so important, and being able to defend yourself and stick up for yourself. And then ultimately, this will carry on and being able to do that for other people as well. You know,
it's
that's
a lot
pretty
there.
good.
I don't
But
even know
what's the
why I asked
physical
that question.
attribute? What's the
Oh, the
physical
physical
attribute?
attribute? Being tall. Oh my god, dude. If I was taller,
Oh
bro,
my god.
you have no fucking idea. They have a song out there where you have to be in finance. You have to be 6'5". Oh
Blue
my
eyes, six
god,
five, blue
bro.
eyes.
They caught me right then and there.
Oh, dude. Oh
Think
my
about it for you,
god.
Don. If you were 6 foot, would your life be different, do you think?
It probably will be. I mean, my brother is
100
taller.
fucking percent.
My brother, and my brother's brother. Fun fact: my brother, like, I have a half brother, and I'm from the dad's side, and he has a half brother from the mom's side. So, uh, he has two brothers that are not brothers, but we're his brothers. Sorry, that's kind of just a fun little joke I like to toss
If
there.
I was 6'5", I would dominate. I would dominate this life. Oh my god, dude. I know there's gonna be people out there who are gonna hate on that. Like, ha ha ha, yo, get fucked, you're short. Come on. You know for a fact, man, that life would be totally different if you were 6'5".
It's funny when we talk about this because as a kid, I actually really wanted to be the same height as my brother. And so I think I remember asking my dad, like, oh, hey, am I ever going to be as tall as Jeff? My Jeff,
Oh
like, not your Jeff,
shit.
right? And my dad was being supportive, but also I think by that, the latter half of my teen years, I realized that I inherited a little bit more of my dad's genes because my dad's side, love my dad's side, but they are on the shorter side versus like our respective mothers who have much taller kids. So yeah, I think I got a little bit more of my dad's side, but I am taller than my dad, I'm taller than my mom. But my brother's
Bro,
5'10".
if you had a son and they asked you, oh my god, dad, will I ever be XYZ's height? You can already know that height meant a lot to that kid.
I mean, I think I'm okay. I think I'm just pretty average for a 5'7", 5'8" on a good day type of guy. But
Fuck you.
but yeah, like but I've learned to kind of accept that and be,
You got
I
to
guess,
work with it. You have to be
self-aware
self-aware.
of like my own, like, again, limitations, if you would, right? But yeah, that's the thing. Like, uh, I think I learned, well, obviously learned to accept that I'm never gonna be as tall as my brother, and that's okay because I think there's, as great as that would be, there are certain, yeah, you learn to let go of it. Like, I'm allergic to peanuts, right? So there are like great things in this world, like Reese's peanut butter cups or Reese's cereal or, you know, Five Guys, right? Or
Reese's peanut butter cups and Reese's cereal are your first two things that you are missing out on in life.
Yeah, and peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
That's a
Yeah,
big one.
that's a big one. I think that's probably number one on the list. I just felt like kind of selecting ones that felt like I can just simply look at and can only look at, right? But I can't miss something that I never had. And in more recent years, I've also
Yes.
had the opportunity to have like, sunflower butter or almond butter, and it's pretty good. I mean,
It's the
it's
same
not
shit,
like,
dude. It's the same shit.
yeah, but it's like an 8 out of 10 in the nutty scale, and if peanuts like 10 out of 10, it's as close as I can get. So,
You don't need
but
any more than that.
yeah, but anyway, what I was trying to get at is that I've learned to again accept that, and I guess it's like you can't miss something that you never had. So
Mm.
yeah, but regarding the height thing, it's something that I do definitely share with you because sometimes it does make me like, oh fuck, shit, I wish I were like 2 inches taller. Because like there's like a cousin of mine in the Philippines who I think we have like the same build, right? But I personally believe everything fits him better because he's just 2 inches, 3 inches taller than me. So all the things that we buy are just like perfectly
It
cut
fits
for
him.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Fuck his ass.
so in the case of like, swinging from the nice and accepting side of the argument to your side, it's like, damn, yeah, I do
I
wish I were taller because
big
at
deal.
least that'll fit. Everything would fit so much nicer, and it's like my legs would like show off more and be like, yo.
We all know confidence trumps height anyway, so who cares? But
Oh
still,
yeah. Oh my
big
God.
deal.
No, like
Big deal.
in history, we have so many great people who have achieved greatness and were short.
Like who?
Um, Napoleon.
Okay. Anyone else? Wait, 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 wait,
you
wait,
know,
wait, wait. I heard some bullshit where he actually wasn't short. They just made that shit up.
let's see. What's Napoleon's actual height? Napoleon's
It's gonna be
height.
like 6 fucking 5, dude.
No, Napoleon was 5'6" or 5'7".
Let's
Although,
go.
I guess another thing that could help temper your expectations, right? Because I used to work at the Wax Museum, right? We're going to like different parts of my life here, right? But
Forgot
at
about
the
that.
Wax Museum, you would think of certain world leaders, right? And surprisingly enough, some of them are not super tall.
Like
Some of them are
who?
really tall. Um, Let me think. The Obamas were pretty tall. I think if I remember correctly. So one that's close to my height, and I thought was possibly a little bit bigger than me, was Martin Luther King. Like he's about the same height, which is pretty cool because then it's like, oh, someone who I have like so much admiration and like respect for, and like grown up like learning all about, is my height. So it's cool knowing that they're a lot closer to the ground as me. I'm really
I
sure
get
what I
you.
was
I know
being.
what you mean. Is there anyone else?
Yeah. Trying to think off the top of my head.
Tom Cruise is short as fuck.
Tom Cruise is short. Someone who's super short and like you wouldn't. Well, I guess you probably would know. Is Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga's pretty short. Bruno Mars is also really short too, by that
Yes.
proxy. But yeah, Lady Gaga's like super short, and so yeah, like when you see that
We
these
love Lady
figures.
Gaga.
Yeah, Lady Gaga is awesome. And the fact that she's like, again, these are like life-size recreations of them, kind of helps you realize like, oh, hey, they're just basically regular people,
Regular
and
people. Yeah.
so yeah, I guess that's also helped me put like things in perspective. But yeah,
I think we did good today, bro. It's been a nice conversation with you today. We went a little bit deeper. Hey, yo.
yeah. It's funny because I know you're looking for deeper, and incidentally, this you're looking for like a debate thing, and it coincides with also it being
We were
like,
gonna, but I felt like it was a little too hard to. We didn't practice it. I didn't want to fuck up the recording of
well,
actually us watching something and the audio play while we were
right.
doing our
Well,
thing.
also the presidential debate's going on right now, like the one between I think Kamala and Trump. So since yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually going on, but I wouldn't really want to like entertain that. But
And plus, I don't know
um,
half the shit that's going on there, so I'm just gonna look fucking stupid.
I
But I
think it'd
think we
be
did good today.